The WNBA thought this season had already hit peak drama. Caitlin Clark's Olympic snub, Angel Reese's nonstop headlines, coaches firing back at the media. But just when fans thought it couldn't get any messier, one signing changed everything. Ariel Powers, fiery, outspoken, and dangerous when she's locked in, landed on the Indiana Fever roster, and instantly, old wounds ripped open. Because this isn't just about basketball. This is about Ariel Powers and Cheryl Reeve, two people who can't even sit next to each other on a plane without causing a scene. So what happens when a grudge that started years ago collides with a desperate team, a packed arena, and a league starving for storylines? The answer might just reshape the way fans see both the Fever and the Lynx. Because when Powers steps on that court in Indiana colors, she's not just playing to win, she's playing to prove her old coach wrong. And trust me, that's a recipe for fireworks. To understand this feud, you've got to rewind. Ariel Powers wasn't some random bench piece bouncing from team to team. Back in 2022, she was the Minnesota Lynx's top scorer. Game after game, she gave them exactly what they needed: energy, shot making, and toughness. Fans loved her swagger. Teammates recognized her grit. And for a while, it looked like she'd found a home. But here's where things got ugly. Instead of leaning on her, Cheryl Reeve, the long-tenured Lynx coach with multiple championships under her belt, started cutting her minutes. From 30-plus a night down to 12, from centerpiece to afterthought, and nobody could figure out why. This wasn't about injuries.
Sure, Powers had battled through setbacks like many pros do, but when she was healthy, she produced. The numbers spoke for themselves. Yet, Reeve's rotations told a different story. Ariel Powers, the team's leading scorer, was suddenly riding the bench.
Fans asked questions, media asked questions, and eventually Ariel herself stopped sugarcoating it. She didn't want to be there anymore. She wanted out, and she wasn't shy about letting the world know. Now, Cheryl Reeve isn't just any coach. She's a control freak in the best and worst ways. Her Lynx dynasty was built on discipline, system play, and everyone buying into her vision. Fall in line, do your job, win championships. That's her formula. And when it works, it really works. But Ariel Powers, she doesn't exactly do quiet. She's outspoken. She claps back online. She wears her emotions on her sleeve. She feeds off proving doubters wrong. To Reeve, that wasn't fuel. It was chaos. And here's the kicker. Their tension didn't just stay behind closed doors. It spilled into public view. From icy post-game interactions to not-so-subtle shade in press conferences, it became obvious these two couldn't stand each other. The chemistry was toxic, and the fallout was inevitable. By the end, Ariel Powers wasn't just asking for a trade. She was practically daring the Lynx to let her go. And Cheryl Reeve, she looked done. Done with the attitude, done with the back and forth, done with trying to rein in a player who refused to be silenced. But if you want to know how bad it really got, look no further than a single flight. Players, coaches, staff all crammed into economy seats trying to get from one city to the next, and fate decided Ariel Powers and Cheryl Reeve would be seated right next to each other. Except that didn't last. Because according to reports, Reeve literally switched seats with her wife to avoid sitting beside Ariel. Think about that. This isn't some random work argument. This is, I don't even want to share armrest space with you. That's not professional tension. That's personal. That's I can't stand your breathing level pettiness. And here's the thing, moments like that don't go away. They live in players' heads. They live in fans' memories. They resurface the second those two people are in the same building again. Which brings us to right now. Indiana, battered by injuries and clinging to any hope of survival, pulled the trigger on a hardship contract. Enter Ariel Powers, the same Ariel Powers who once begged to leave Cheryl Reeve's team, the same Ariel Powers who was benched after leading the Lynx in scoring. And just to spice things up, the Fever weren't just signing a player, they were signing into a storyline. Because tonight, Ariel Powers, wearing Indiana colors, faces the Minnesota Lynx, coached by Cheryl Reeve. You couldn't script it better. When the Indiana Fever signed Ariel Powers, it wasn't out of luxury, it was out of desperation. By the time her name popped up on the transaction sheet, half the Fever roster looked like they'd been hit with a curse. Caitlin Clark was rehabbing a groin issue. Sophie Cunningham was out, Sydney Colson sidelined. Ari McDonald hurt, Odyssey Sims limping. If you walked into Indiana's locker room, you weren't sure if you were looking at a basketball team or a hospital ward. The Fever needed bodies, plain and simple. And not just bodies, they needed someone who could actually score, who could come in and carry some of the offensive weight. Ariel Powers wasn't just available, she was the exact kind of wild card they needed. She was experienced, she was fearless, and she was itching for another shot. But what Indiana probably didn't fully realize was that signing Powers didn't just give them depth. It reignited one of WNBA's most personal feuds right in time for their matchup with Minnesota. See, Cheryl Reeve's issues with Indiana go beyond Ariel Powers. She's already a villain in the eyes of Fever fans because of the Caitlin Clark situation. Remember, Reeve was one of the leading voices behind leaving Clark off Team USA's Olympic roster. Indiana fans haven't forgiven her for that. Some probably never will. So picture this. You've already got Clark Nation ready to boo Reeve every time she walks into Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Now add Ariel Powers, a former Lynx player who clashed with Reeve so badly she begged out of Minnesota. Suddenly, this isn't just a basketball game, this is a battlefield. Reeve isn't just facing Caitlin Clark's fan base, she's facing Ariel Powers' revenge tour, and Indiana fans are loving every second of it. Let's not forget, Fever fans already had a chip on their shoulder before Ariel Powers showed up. But earlier this season, the team surprised Kelsey Mitchell by warming up in shirts that said Kelsey Mitchell MVP. It was a lighthearted show of support. Mitchell had been loyal to the Fever through years of losing. She was finally getting the recognition she deserved. But Cheryl Reeve didn't find it cute. She practically scolded the media afterward, saying MVPs come from the best teams and her Lynx were the best team. Translation? Stop hyping Indiana's players. The real MVP is Nafisa Collier. That's done. Mitchell is Indiana's heart and soul. Clark is their future, and Reeve dismissed them both in one season. Now, Indiana has Ariel Powers, a player Reeve once benched and discarded. Every point she scores in a Fever jersey feels like a direct slap at her old coach, and fans are eating it up. The funniest part, Ariel Powers is built for this kind of chaos. She thrives on attention, on proving people wrong, on playing with a chip on her shoulder. She's active on social media. She engages with fans. She's not going to let this feud fade quietly into the background. Reeve, on the other hand, has always preferred control. She wants her players in line, her system unchallenged, her team above the noise. But when Powers is on the other side, the noise isn't just there, it's deafening. And the timing couldn't be better. Indiana is wounded. They need sparks. The fan base needs a reason to believe. And Powers just gave them one. Think about it. Ariel Powers isn't just playing to extend her career. She's playing to prove a point. She wants to show Reeve that benching her was a mistake. She wants to show fans she's still that 14 points per game scorer from 20. And most of all, she wants to embarrass the coach who once couldn't even sit next to her on a plane. Reeve, she'll treat this game like it's personal too. Don't be surprised if the Lynx throw every defender they have at Powers just to make her look ordinary. Because the last thing Cheryl Reeve wants is a highlight reel of Ariel Powers torching her team going viral on TikTok. The stakes aren't just about wins and losses anymore, they're about pride, reputation, and revenge. When Ariel Powers checks into this game, it won't feel like just another substitution. Cameras will immediately pan to Cheryl Reeve. Fans will hold their breath because everybody knows this isn't just about basketball, it's about whether Powers can get revenge on the coach who once benched her into irrelevance. For Powers, every jumper, every drive, every hustle play will feel loaded. Score once, that's a message. Hit a three, that's payback. Put up 20, that's a headline. This is her stage and she knows it. But for Cheryl Reeve, the mission is just as clear. Don't let Powers steal the spotlight. Let's be honest. The Lynx don't just want to win this game. They want to make Ariel Powers disappear on the stat sheet, and Reeve has the roster to do it. Minnesota's defense is stacked with perimeter stoppers, Kayla McBride, Bridget Carton, Courtney Williams, all versatile defenders who can swarm Powers, force her into bad shots, and make sure she never gets comfortable. You can almost hear Reeve in the huddle. Don't let her get hot. Don't give her that headline. Because the danger isn't just Powers scoring points, it's Powers scoring points against Cheryl Reeve. That clip would go viral in seconds. And Reeve knows the internet doesn't forgive or forget. That's why this game feels so unique. There's no safe middle. If Ariel Powers goes off for a big night, the story writes itself. Indiana's hardship signing embarrasses her old coach. If she struggles, Reeve gets to smirk in the press conference. See, that's why she's not here anymore. Either way, it's personal, and everyone watching knows it. Here's where things get tricky for Indiana. Normally, you'd ease a new player into the rotation, let her find her rhythm, figure out where she fits. But the Fever don't have that luxury. With half their roster in walk-in boots, they need Powers to play real minutes and fast. That means the ball will be in her hand. She'll take shots, she'll be in the spotlight whether she's ready or not, and that creates the perfect stage for either redemption or disaster. If she catches fire, she could be the wild card that saves Indiana's season. If she flames out, she risks proving Reeve right in front of the entire league. The craziest part? This isn't just about wins and losses. This is pure soap opera TV with a scoreboard. The Fever thought they were just adding depth. Instead, they walked straight into a PR firestorm. Now, every time Powers scores, the broadcast will cut to Reeve's reaction. Every time Reeve calls timeout, fans will wonder if it's because of Powers. The storyline has already written itself. Mentor versus ex-player, system versus personality, control versus chaos. And here's the twist. Ariel Powers loves this type of stage. She thrives when people doubt her. She feeds off the drama. For her, this isn't pressure, it's fuel. Indiana fans are going to rally behind her no matter what. They already despise Cheryl Reeve for snubbing Clark and dismissing Mitchell. Now they see Powers as their weapon, their chance at payback. Every bucket will be celebrated like a playoff moment. Every defensive stop will feel like validation. And if Powers actually manages to dominate against her old coach, the internet will explode. This is why the matchup matters so much. It's not just about the box score, it's about emotion, history, and pride. The thing about rivalries like this, they never really end when the clock hits zero. Sure, one team wins, one team loses, but the feud lives on. And that's exactly what's brewing between Ariel Powers and Cheryl Reeve. Because no matter what happens on the court, both sides are walking away with receipts. If Powers puts up numbers, fans will shout that Reeve was wrong to bench her, wrong to discard her, wrong to treat her like a problem instead of a weapon. And if Powers struggles, you better believe Reeve will let her silence do the talking. Told you so, without even having to say the words. This is bigger than a single game, it's a battle for the narrative, and right now both Powers and Reeve know how important that is. Here's what makes it so juicy. The Indiana Fever aren't just any team. They're the most talked about squad in the WNBA right now because of Caitlin Clark. Every headline, every tweet, every broadcast revolves around them. So when Ariel Powers puts on that Fever jersey, she isn't stepping into a quiet market, she's stepping into the spotlight. And suddenly her personal feud with Reeve gets magnified 10 times over. The Fever fan base already hated Cheryl Reeve for Clark's Olympic snub. They already rolled their eyes at her MVP comments about Mitchell. Now they've got another reason to boo her out of the building. Indiana doesn't just want to beat Minnesota, they want to humiliate them. And you know this won't stay between the lines? Ariel Powers is active online. She'll throw out tweets, post reactions, engage with fans. She knows how to turn a game into a moment. Meanwhile, Cheryl Reeve doesn't back down either. Her press conferences are sharp, her comments are calculated, she'll shade opponents with a smile and act like she's just telling the truth. That means every Fever Lynx matchup has the potential to ignite online wars. Clark's fans, Mitchell's loyalists, and now Powers' supporters, all of them piling on against Reeve's defenders. It's bigger than basketball, it's culture. Of course, there's another side to this. Rivalries don't just motivate players on one team, they light a fire under the other. Don't be surprised if Reeve's Lynx play even harder against Indiana just to back their coach. To them, this isn't just about shutting down Powers. It's about protecting the dynasty, protecting Reeve's reputation, and reminding the league why Minnesota is the standard.
That's the danger for Indiana. If the Lynx channel that energy, every matchup could feel like a playoff game with the Fever stuck playing catch-up.
But let's be real, from the league's perspective, this is gold. The WNBA thrives on drama, storylines, and rivalries that fans can sink their teeth into. Clark versus the veterans, Reese versus the establishment, and now Powers versus Reeve. You couldn't script it better, and you can bet broadcasts will milk it for all it's worth. Slow motion shots of Powers staring down the Lynx bench, crowd reactions when she scores, sideline cutaways to Reeve's expression. This isn't just basketball anymore. It's entertainment, and the WNBA needs that as much as it needs box scores. So what's at stake here? For Ariel Powers, this is a career-defining chance. She's not on a long-term contract. She's fighting for her spot in the league. Every game is an audition, and the Reeve storyline just adds fuel. If she proves herself in Indiana, she could secure another deal, maybe even extend her career for years. For Cheryl Reeve, the stakes are pride. Her Lynx are already stacked. They're already winning, but letting Ariel Powers succeed on another team, especially Indiana, would feel like a crack in her armor. Reeve has built her career on control. Powers is the one player she couldn't control. That's why this eats at her. And for fans, it's pure theater. Every Indiana-Minnesota game from now on is circled on the calendar. Every possession feels like a grudge match. And every time Powers touches the ball, the question hangs in the air, will she make Reeve regret it? At the end of the day, this is why we love sports. It's not just about who wins or loses. It's about the stories, the grudges, the rivalries that turn a regular season game into must-watch TV. Ariel Powers versus Cheryl Reeve is bigger than a box score. It's a clash of personalities, of history, of pride. One side wants revenge, the other wants control. And no matter who wins, the fallout will echo across the WNBA. So I'll leave you with this. Will Ariel Powers use this moment to finally shut Cheryl Reeve up once and for all? Or will Reeve get the last laugh, proving she was right all along? Either way, grab your popcorn, because this isn't just basketball. This is a soap opera in sneakers, and the next episode is only just beginning.